Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a beautiful day for the Pirate Broadcast. And, you know, it's always exciting to see new faces, new friends, meet new people, and make new connections. So, Dylan, good morning. How are you? I hope you're well today.
Hey, good morning to you, Russ. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me here, buddy.
Yeah, you were talking about the show earlier, you know, and a couple of things before the show started. And, you know, we're in digital media. You know, digital media is actually not a bad place to be right now, you know, with COVID and 2020 and everything else and going on. And talk a little bit about, for those that don't know you yet, they'll get to know you in the next 30 minutes. Talk a little bit about how you focus your attention on digital media, because we're talking about how spread out we could get, how many different platforms there are, and, you know, how distracted and noisy it could be, and how you stay focused on what you're doing, and you know, share a little bit about that philosophy that you have, because I thought it was great.
Sure. So there's so many distractions, so many different directions you can go in. You know, we were talking about that pre-show. If you're doing any kind of marketing, any kind of media, you could do TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, you name it. You can go in all these different directions. I prefer to stick to things that I know, things that are tried and true, things that are scalable. So for me, you know, we were talking about this before the show. With my business, I like to focus on either Facebook or Google ads, and that's it. It's you can fall down the trap of wanting to go in so many different directions. And for me, the 80-20 reason of why you want to stick to just one or two things is that you get better. If you're doing 10 different things, you never really get good at any of them. But if you're just doing one thing, if you just keep pounding that and getting better and better and better, you're going to eventually build a pretty good skill at it. And it could be anything. It could be a Snapchat. It could be a TikTok, whatever. But really just focus on one single thing, maximum of two.
Yeah. I appreciate that so much. And the reason I do is because I'm one of those squirrel hunters that I'm always curious about something, you know, and it's not necessarily because I'm going to use it all the time. It's more about how does this work and how does it fit in, and who could I recommend it to if the opportunity arrives.
Sure.
You know, I'm almost like the researcher that loves to kind of piece things together and pull it together. And it's just, I admire your tenacity, and that's what struck a chord with me. And it's like, okay, well, cool. That is something I could do. I'm actually listening to a book called Essentialism. And
I have it. It's up there. I haven't read it yet. I haven't read it, but I have it. I don't know which side it's on. I'm pretty sure it's on that side of the bookshelf.
And so how long have you been in digital, and what prompted you to even think about it or get into it, or what was your interest?
So I started my first business when I was 14, and shortly thereafter, I started playing around with. I think the first time they launched it, it was just called Google AdWords. Now I always refer to it as Google AdWords. I don't even think they use that term anymore. I think it's just Google Ads. But that's how I got into. I kind of got into it at the infancy of this kind of trackable, scalable digital marketing thing. Like, it was still this new agey stuff. So, you know, that was 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my start in. And I would add this comment, we were just talking about going in all these different directions. For me, I spent 12, 13 years going the opposite direction, going in all these different directions. TikTok wasn't a thing back then, but all these different avenues that you could go in, having a Facebook page, having, they had what was the Google one? Google had a social media. What was that?
Yeah.
They still have it.
No.
Nobody even remembers. That's all you need to know. Nobody remembers what it was called. But
Don't get
going,
too attached.
yeah, going in all those different directions, I wasted so much time and I got nowhere.
Yeah.
Because I was going in so many different directions. So once I kind of had that epiphany, based off advice from a mentor of mine, I went opposite in the other direction. So just cut everything ruthlessly and just focused on one or two things that I felt I could get better at and that were scalable. So that mistake, this isn't like I have some kind of greater knowledge or something. That like I made that mistake for a decade of going in so many different directions, and it's chasing the shiniest object, shiny object syndrome. I had that for sure, and I got nowhere because of it.
Yeah. And then once you focused on Google Ads and Facebook, it turned around, and then you just got really good at that and skilled at that. And that's what your focus has been since.
Yeah, it was like the end of 2016. The short compressed version of the story is I had like 10 different business projects going, and each one of them had the Google social media, and like it's just getting so many different directions. And I just was getting absolutely nowhere. I was miserable, and just ruthlessly cut everything, focused on one single business, which was agency work. And then I went further, and it was just one single service, which was digital marketing management services. And that was end of 2016. And 2017 grew the agency to multiple six figures, and then seven figures in 2018. But it was, from nothing to very quickly ramped up because I just focused on one thing. And then I got better and better and better at it. So my clients got better and better results because I was only doing one thing.
That's awesome.
That's simple.
That's awesome. Note to self. I know that there's a lot of people are going to appreciate that lesson because, there's, for me right now, I'm focusing on live streaming, primary LinkedIn, getting leads, generating leads, conversations and relationships with LinkedIn and live streaming. I mean, it's pretty, and I think it's appropriate right now. And the thing that I think about or reflect on is how could I start using ads, or how could I start using, some lead generation, paid streams, and what would that look like? So maybe you could talk a little bit about that and say, how you operate or how you think about that as you go forward with a client.
So I don't particularly know a lot about video. We do some YouTube ad management, but not a lot. And I do think that YouTube ads are still in their infancy, still have a large.
So there's still hope for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What the appeal of doing, say, live streaming or content creation and trying to get things to go viral is that it's typically low cost or free. The problem that I have with it is that you don't have control of the scale. When you use Google ads, use Facebook ads as an example, you just add another zero to the budget and boom, 10 times the amount of leads coming in. You just double your budget and boom, you just doubled your leads coming in. Sure, you have to make sure it's profitable to begin with. You have to make sure that you have a profitable ROI, but scaling things up, you have a lot of control with paid advertising. What you lose by going, kind of these low cost or free or the free route is that you don't have control over that lever. You have to continue to feed the beast of content creation, which takes a lot of time. So do they have, I honestly don't know this. Do they have like on the LinkedIn channel or LinkedIn platform, do you have the ability to buy more views for your live streams? Is that a thing?
You could not directly that way. Not, however, you can buy ads to point to your shows, your events, your activities.
Sure.
So it's much the same way. It's much like a Facebook ad. You advertise the fact that it's there, and I want to push it in front of this many people in the audience. And then if they show up, they show up. If they don't, if the ad, and that's the challenge a lot of people have with ad spend is getting the right ads, the magical words that drive people to the result.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something that you've probably learned how to do and help coach individuals to say, well, that ad, that title is not quite going to grab people by the beard and draw them into the crowd here. So,
there's a lot of that.
The creativity still exists in ad spend.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those secret sauce methods that you have to kind of, like you said, after the last 5-6 years, you've had to really hone that skill in and get much better at it.
Oh, 100%. But I would also say I ruthlessly apply the 80-20 method to like every aspect of my life. So when it comes to writing copy, creating a good ad, no matter if it's Facebook, YouTube, Google, it doesn't matter. A lot of people overthink it. They want it to be complicated. They're looking for the advanced strategies to the 20% of the 80% of actions. You're going to spend a lot of time to get just 20% of the results. Just move the needle, make your ad a little bit more profitable. Like I had a conversation with someone yesterday. They were talking about if you like on a landing page, if you circle something in red, it will automatically, people just look at it. So you can draw attention to something on a picture by just circling in red. And like, that's cool. That's a strategy, but that's really not going to move the needle a lot. Yeah. I focus on the fundamentals and the basics, that 20% of effort that is going to give you 80% of the results. And for me, there's just two blanket strategies that I use. One is to get very niche down and narrow with your ad copy, with your landing page, and all those things. Try to specifically describe one single main problem that the end customer has. Get as specific as you can. And if somebody sees an ad and it's, we provide all these services, all these products, that can go in so many different directions. But if you say, you see an ad that says, Russ, I specifically help people like you with this specific problem, and you're like, wow, that's a problem I am having. And that's what services and products do. They solve problems. That's speaking to you. So, and I find that the more specific you can get, when you can define the problem better than the end customer can, they will automatically assume that you have the solution. So get very specific on defining the problem and defining the solution. The second thing, the second blanket strategy that I use is I write copy, write ads, write landing pages to get people to not click on them. I want the buying pyramid, like, it's like 3% of people are ready to buy today. 7% are ready to buy within like the next month or whatever. You just want to target those people at the top.
Yeah.
And you also want to target the people that can afford whatever your particular solution is. You don't want everybody clicking on your ad. Those are my two blanket strategies.
You almost want to eliminate a lot of people from clicking that are just surfing the web thinking something special.
You don't want tire kickers.
Don't get the tire kickers. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a few people. Mark from Houston, Mark LaCour, he operates OGGN, building a huge empire around podcast in the oil and gas industry. An awesome individual. We do live streaming for the network and a lot of community. Good morning, Wendy. I hope you made it to Seattle safe and sound, taking care of your folks. We were talking about that before the show here, Dylan. We're all taking care of somebody. And Angie says, good morning. She loves the book as well, Essentialism. So we got some fans in the house. Patrick says hello. JD is in the house. And yes, Angie's been encouraging me to get people to sign up for my YouTube channel. It's like a space. I've got Dylan, I've got well over 600 videos on YouTube. I mean, I've just crossed over 300 episodes of this show.
That's a lot of content.
That's a lot of content. And I'm underutilizing it. So when you said that, YouTube ads may be someplace where I could play and make some progress there, I might have to check that out. I'll have to talk to you about ad spend stuff like that. And then Gabriel's in the house. Thank you so much for Gabriel. He's another individual that's great, has a great show, made from scratch broadcast. He does it in the evening Central Time. Awesome individual to connect with. Russ Hedge, Oregon, out from Oregon. He's he just launched a book. Thank you for being here, Russ. Appreciate you. Loving the vibes. So, Dylan's in Florida. I'm in Arizona. A little bit of sunshine here today, bringing you sunshine. So sign up for my YouTube channel. Do all the social things we're telling you not to do. Or you can just do some ad spend. Send it to Russ.
Follow Russ on YouTube.
Follow Russ on YouTube. Love you all, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Dylan, I want to talk a little bit about the landscape. You started out, young. You said, hey, this is something I can learn. This is, you kind of crafted your skills. Sounds like you write a little bit of content, a little bit of, copy, crafting that skill. Where do you see the next 12, 18 months, 2 years? Where do you see that working out and changing, or how has it changed for you? Is it just a continuation? I mean, talk a little bit about that.
I think it's mostly going to be a continuation. I don't see a lot of things changing. I do. Yeah. We talked a little bit about YouTube, talked about YouTube ads. I do believe that there's going to be a lot of explosive growth there. But I would comment, I particularly don't try to guess where things are going. This is actually an interesting question. So I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and they were talking about, it was some company they were working with, had somehow partnered up. I knew nothing about TikTok ads or how you do that at all.
Yeah.
They had partnered up with somebody on TikTok, or two influencers on TikTok, and they were generating about $500,000 in sales. I don't know what they were spending. I don't know what their profit margin was or anything, but they were generating about $500,000 in sales per month, mostly from these TikTok influencers.
Wow.
And I mean, that sounds appealing, right? That sounds pretty good.
But like you said, you don't know what they spent.
You don't know what I don't know what they spent. How do you scale that? Is it just when these new platforms, when these new things come out, most of the time what it was is just somebody went at bat and just so happened to hit a home run their first at bat. The other 999 people struck out.
Yeah.
But we only hear about the people that hit a home run.
Yeah.
And again, it sounds appealing because, again, we don't know what they were spending, but it's probably very profitable. But it was probably they just hit a home run their first at bat. I try to not get caught up in that kind of stuff and try to stick to things that are tried and true.
Yeah.
Google Ads has been around for 15 years.
Yeah.
Sure, it's more expensive, but
it's a track
it has a track record. It's scalable. You can go in, you can quickly learn it, and you're not just hoping to go viral. It's the same thing with Facebook ads. Yeah. So because I kind of apply that filter of I want things that are tried and true, that kind of keeps me out of of thinking about what's coming next. You go back 2 years ago, everybody was like, Snapchat's going to be the next big thing, and everybody's going to be using Snapchat ads. I don't even know how to do a Snapchat ad. I don't care. Because it probably doesn't. It's probably just people hitting home runs that are having success.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where it's going. But I do think, YouTube is getting more established, and I think there's going to be a lot of growth coming there. But otherwise,
there's a lot of activity on YouTube, and it evolves. One of the things that I think is really curious is, when you do an ad, testing multiple ads. One of the things that Facebook is really good at is you can actually run multiple tests and see which one, and kind of tweak the demographics a little bit. Do you go through that process with clients, and is there a process or a strategy that you use that on Facebook?
100% yes. Man, I wish I literally have a document that we follow. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's basically, so let me back up here. So with Facebook, the power of Facebook is in the algorithm. You can't possibly understand everything about your potential customers. You can kind of guess, maybe they're male, maybe they're 25 to 35, whatever. Maybe they're conservative, liberal. You can kind of guess these things. Maybe they like country music. Maybe they like rap. Maybe they like Tim Ferriss. Maybe they like Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of Rachel Ray, but you can kind of guess these things, but you don't know like how aggressive they are, or how much time they spend on Facebook, or like, people don't come close to grasping the deeper understanding that Facebook has about our psychology. So what we do when we're onboarding a client, we will run 600 different tests at one time. So it's again, I have I wish I had that document in front of me, but it's like 5 different pictures with 30 different audience variations, and then I think 5 different, that's still not enough, and then 5 different actual ad copies. So you're running all these different variations, and you just throw them out there into the market. Yeah. And what Facebook does is Facebook will figure out which ones are the most efficient.
Yeah.
You don't know why they're the most efficient. It's deep psychology and pattern, human behavior patterns that Facebook figures out. And listen, I'm making this sound really complicated, but it's literally just the short answer to what your question was is, yeah, we do a lot of testing, but a lot more than people think. We're not doing 2 tests. We're doing 600 tests at one different time, and just letting the algorithm pick whichever one works.
And then it's like, I'm not going to decide which one works best. I'm just going to throw a lot out there, let the algorithm decide which one's going to be the best converting out, ad.
Absolutely. And there's no way you could guess which one, but the algorithm can, not instantly, but give it a couple days, and it'll figure out which one for some reason got people to click.
That's fascinating to me. Mark LaCour asked a great question. Maybe we can talk about this. Any best practice advice on Facebook ad success measurement? That's a great question, because it's not it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, okay, well, I made $500,000 on this TikTok ad, but I spent 620,000. It's like, that's not a good measurement.
Simply put, is it profitable? That's kind of the bulletproof. Like, that's gonna tell you, is this profitable or not? And I would say the way you do it is, you put up 600 different ads, which sounds really complicated. It's not a lot, because you could just copy ads and whatnot.
No.
You put up a bunch of different ads, a bunch of different variations, and maybe one of them's got like a 0.9 ROI. So you're losing a little bit of money. And that's like your best performers. that's okay if that's like your first test.
Yeah.
And so you delete all the bad ones, and then you copy the good ones, and you create another 600 variations. You're constantly tweaking until you get a positive ROI. Unless most of the time, whenever we put something up, you're getting like a 1.5 or a 2x ROI.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, you don't want to overthink it. You want to just put out variations into the Facebook marketplace. And,
so really it's content creation for ads.
Well, yes. However, it's, when people think 600 different ads,
it's like a laser focus. That's all.
That sounds exhausting, but it's literally just a lot of copying and allowing the algorithm to pick which ones are profitable. But that's, the best metric is this ad profitable or not?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's fantastic. And I have to guess, and I'm less familiar with Google ads than I am with Facebook ads, but I have to imagine that Google ads are much the same process, or is it?
There's not as much testing. There's not as much. I mean, there's not even close to the amount of testing. It's more about just getting really specific with your keywords and really specific with your ads. That's it. Yeah. Facebook is a little more difficult to figure out because you're just putting stuff out into the marketplace and allowing the algorithm to figure it out.
Yeah.
But once you get it, the profitability and the scalability is just massive. Whereas Google is a lot easier to figure out. There's a lot of scale, certainly, depending on your market and region, et cetera, et cetera. But, it's kind of a trade-off between the two.
Yeah. Wendy's giving you a shout out. Dylan, speak with such confidence when you focus on one thing exclusively. You have the ability to go so deep that the results are undeniable. So
that was heavy.
That was heavy. She's an awesome individual that can go deep sometimes. Good morning to all the Pirate Broadcast. Thank you, Kenyatta. She's doing some great work out there as well. I just find it fascinating. I love these conversations, Dylan. I really appreciate the fact that you drop by and share a little bit of knowledge, because ad spend for the solopreneur or the freelancer or something like that, it seems very it seems like dangerous territory. It's like, okay, well, you wouldn't hesitate, you'd probably put an ad in the newspaper here or something like that. A lot of business owners don't understand the complexity or the simplicity of digital. And I got into outdoor advertising back before you were probably even born, in 85. It's like
it was before my time. Yeah,
before your time. And when you're buying KPI versus your actual results, you're spending on clicks, and the fact is you're not spending any money on the people that don't click, right? Imagine
absolutely.
And whereas as with outdoor advertising or broadcast advertising, you're spending on a potential click or a follow or some interest.
And you can't track it.
You can't track it.
That's my main. You're just throwing money out the window and just kind of hoping it comes back.
Yeah.
I would, with the time we have remaining, I would like to finish by saying that I truly believe if you have, it doesn't even have to be an internet-based business, but I really believe that marketing should be the number one focus. Digital marketing should be the number one focus in your business. And I like to always add a disclaimer when I say something like this, like, yes, you should deliver a great product or service to your customer, but that's like me telling you have to breathe. I'm not going to say that. Like, when it comes to growth, your number one priority should be digital marketing. And the reason is once you get it, which there's pretty much for everybody, there's a certain level of tweaking it and testing. But once you get it, you literally have the ability to buy growth. You want to double your sales this year? Just double your ad spend. That's it. It removes the question of growth. You literally can just buy it. So
yeah,
I'll finish with that, I guess.
Well, that's a great place to end up. And I just love the opportunity to have these conversations, because I know that it's going to help someone do something and
Absolutely.
stay focused. It's going to help me, remove things that are no longer necessary in my life.
Ruthlessly cut all that unnecessary stuff.
I'm just going to cut it off. I'll check with you in a few months and say, Dylan, I made it.
Well, good luck to you, Russ.
Let's do some ad spend. So as always, everyone, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I do humbly and ask you to go follow and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to grow that. I'm going to be expanding that and working that. I may even spend some money on ad spend over there. So
that's the focus now. It's all on YouTube.
That's the focus. Spend money on marketing. And then also, as always, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. And you enjoy the day. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
Stick around. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.